how the future economy can power a sustainable future. Our next speaker is going to share some of the innovations taking place in our own backyard. So please join me in welcoming Terry Tamminen, President and CEO of AltaSea. Terry?
Thank you so much. I got here too late to enjoy the champagne. You don't come to many conferences like this and see everybody a little bit drunk, but that's great. My wife and I just recently moved to Playa del Rey. That's at least South Bay adjacent, or is it considered South Bay? I don't know. We go into Main Street, El Segundo all the time for dinner and ice cream. There's an ice cream store there that's responsible for at least 5 pounds of what's right here. But anyway, no, we're very pleased about what you're doing and coming together in so many ways, because obviously the one thing that brings you all together in so many ways is the ocean. And the blue economy is that thing that can drive your economies and great jobs and sustainable energy and other things into the future, which I'll talk about now. Let's see if this thing works. Yep, there it is. There's a little bit about me. As was mentioned, I'm President and CEO of AltaSea in the Port of Los Angeles, and I've worked with many of you over the years in government, my work in nonprofits, investing in climate solutions all over the world, writing books in the hopes that we would inform and inspire and persuade people to take action before it's too late. But it was about 30 years ago when I was running the nonprofit Santa Monica Baykeeper that I got a call one chilly January morning saying that a newborn gray whale was discovered in the surf looking hopelessly for its mother. Well, for 36 hours, many of us worked with boats and rented moving vans and helicopters and makeshift stretchers, as you can see right there, and 1,000 expressions of awe and wonder to get this massive orphan into a tank at SeaWorld, about 120 miles to the south, in a desperate attempt to save her. She was named JJ by SeaWorld veterinarians, and when she arrived, she was weak and dehydrated and disoriented. Well, it's not every gray whale that begins its life riding down a 12-lane highway at 100 miles an hour with a news helicopter overhead and a police escort, even in Hollywood. But celebrity alone couldn't save JJ. In her weakened condition, and the threats that she would face if SeaWorld was actually able to restore her and send her back into the ocean. I wrote watercolors how JJ the whale saved us and told of her story and of our endangered ocean. And ours is an ocean planet. We're not land creatures, but we really are ocean life forms. Our bodies are mostly saltwater. The first living organisms on Earth to convert sunlight into food, and the same blue-green algae that are found in the ocean today. And by the way, I'll be talking about how to turn that into a lot of valuable products shortly. And hundreds of millions of years ago, the first sex and reproduction took place among sponges and jellyfish. Now, don't try to picture that, but trust me, the way that life was formed and destroyed has not largely changed in our oceans until the arrival of industrial humans. So how have we changed the ocean in the last 100 years or so? Well, let's look at an indicator species for an answer. Prior to World War II, salmon was so plentiful that it was called the poor man's steak, and it sold for 10 cents a pound. It was employing thousands of people in a very sustainable multi-billion-dollar industry, even back in those days. And today, the catch is less than 5% of that, robbing us of something much more profound than a great meal in our favorite restaurant. And that's because salmon spawn in freshwater, as you may know, in the streams, but those streams don't have the resources to get the juveniles to grow into the massive adult size that we know them as when we're eating them. So the young fish spawn and they move to the ocean and miraculously transform their body chemistry from freshwater creatures into saltwater. And there in the ocean wilderness, they spend years hunting in the endless bounty of the ocean and come back to the streams of their nativity to reproduce and pay their genetic debt. And in the process, they deliver tons of nutrients to the forests. Because after spawning, the salmon die. Their fat and their flesh is providing food for mammals and birds and insects and scavengers that pull tons of these carcasses into the forest. A third of the nitrogen in the forest floor comes from the ocean through salmon, the most astonishing transfer of wealth on the planet. Nutrients from the sea that allow humble evergreens to evolve into giant redwoods here in California, just as an example. Trees that protect the streams for another generation of salmon to grow and prosper anew. But in the last few generations, as population and our human population and consumption has risen, we've interrupted that process by destroying the salmon habitat, cutting down the trees, overfishing, and pollution. No human-caused threat to the ocean, however, has been greater than climate change. And we now know about this today. We see it in the news every day, but we've also known for decades. This book was published 35 years ago, and it predicted that by 2020, Miami Beach would be frequently flooded, even in dry weather, and due to sea level rise, and would need to raise the roads and put pumps in its buildings to get rid of all the water. Well, sure enough, 10 years ago, the city of Miami Beach, not Miami, just Miami Beach, which is a small municipality, they spent $400 million to do just that, to raise the roads and put in pumps even for dry weather flooding. And they're going to have to do it again in 2050 if we don't change course. We are running out of time. Up to half of the excess CO2 that's pumped into the air by our tailpipes and our smokestacks is absorbed by the oceans, resulting in a 30% increase in its acidity. Yes, we are powerful enough and foolish enough to change the very chemistry of the ocean, the largest habitat on the planet. And the result is global osteoporosis. Shells can't form, coral is bleached, everything dissolves. And the acidification is also killing plankton and microscopic organisms that sustain mighty whales like JJ. But most worrisome of all, common clams are smaller than ever, quite literally disappearing before our eyes. And we will suffer from that loss because in a recent study, a protein from common clam shells has been found to cure certain cancers. Where do we turn when they're gone? Well, there is hope. That's the message I really want to deliver today. Because hundreds of volunteers came together to rescue that baby gray whale, JJ. People from all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds. They checked their egos, their agendas, their politics, whatever, at the beach, and they dove right in, quite literally, to rescue a creature in dire need. We can do so again for our oceans, for ourselves. JJ survived a year, by the way, in the wild, a year in captivity, and then in the wild, a few months after her release. My volunteer divers at the time and I saw her swimming northwards in the company of other gray whales. She made it, and so can we, if we take the same approach of working together, which of course is what this organization is all about. Shakespeare said, "There's a tide in the affairs of men which taken at the flood leads on to fortune, but omitted and all of life's voyage is bound in shallow miseries and regrets." I pose to you that we are afloat upon such a sea at this moment, and it is only our generation that can determine our future. But here's the good news. We can address climate change and our other sustainability challenges on planet Earth by embracing the most promising economic and job-creating opportunities of the future, especially in the ocean, in the blue economy. And let me introduce you to AltaSea at the Port of Los Angeles briefly and explain how the solutions to our sustainability and climate challenges are coming from the largest, most productive ecosystem on Earth, the ocean. Now, I had a brief video I was going to show you at this point, but too long, it'll make my remarks too long, so I won't do that. I'll just tell you, April 12th is our next open house. It's a Saturday from 10 to 1. I encourage you to come to AltaSea and see it for yourself. We always have guest speakers. We have other community groups tabling and explaining what they do for the environment. So I encourage you all to come and see. But we're a nonprofit that took over a 35-acre campus in the Port of Los Angeles with 110-year-old warehouses and we've raised $35 million. We've just renovated them into a modern blue economy hub for education, workforce training, and importantly, to incubate these businesses in the blue economy, some of which I'll talk about now, that I think are going to power all of our communities here in the very near future. You know, as I mentioned, 70% of the surface of the planet is ocean and only 30% is land. But that doesn't really tell you the whole story, because our land habitats for humans or nature are pretty much what you see on the map, whereas the ocean ecosystems, of course, are thousands of feet deep. So a better comparison might be if you took all of the water of the oceans and put it on the land, you'd have a swimming pool 5 miles deep. So taller than Mount Everest on all of the land on Earth. Gives you a sense of how much more habitat, how much more there is of the ocean for us to use sustainably. And here's an example. Let's consider how we get energy from sewage that would otherwise be dumped into our coastal oceans. After treatment of wastewater, we're left with sludge that's usually sent to landfills. And using modern conversion technology, that sludge can be converted into low-carbon diesel fuel or industrial gases, and the wastewater can be converted into hydrogen instead of using the discharges, instead of taking all of that full of waste and toxins and dumping it into our coastal oceans. These outputs can pay by adapting city infrastructure to rising seas and more intense storms, like that $400 million that Miami Beach had to spend to raise its roads. And then think about this. There's enough hydrogen in the wastewater discharged by our Los Angeles sewage treatments alone that if you did take the hydrogen out of that water, remember H2O, if you took the H2 out of the H2O, you'd have enough to power the entire United States transportation fleet. Now, of course, you wouldn't do that with just our sewage treatment plants, but it tells you that every city that has a sewage treatment plant could be converting that material into something that it could sell through gasoline stations that now have hydrogen as one of their products. I drive a hydrogen car, pull up to a Shell station or a Chevron station, and there's a pump there for hydrogen, so they can stay in the same business. Chevron is here today, and they've been one of our great partners in this hydrogen highway program, and they use a lot of hydrogen for refining their products and for other services. So it's something that uses existing infrastructure and can be derived from a waste product. And we can also use the vast space of our oceans for floating solar farms, for new technology that exploits the reliable temperature changes at various depths of the ocean, and to generate electricity. Recently, we sponsored Senate Bill 605 in the state of California to incentivize wave and tidal energy, and there's now 30 companies that are coming here from all over the world because of that to start setting up their projects. And just this morning, I was at the LA Harbor Commission. That's why I missed your champagne. And was able to testify at the approval of the demonstration project of a company called EcoWave, which it's the one that has the blue floats there in the middle of the bottom page there. They just mount those floats on existing breakwaters and jetties, which are designed to absorb waves. Those floats go up and down, and you can see the silver arm. That's actually kind of like a bicycle pump mounted to the float. So that's creating a certain amount of pressure, hydrostatic pressure, which then is contained in a tank on land. And when you want the electricity, you let the pressure out and it spins the turbine. So you have intermittent renewables stored without a battery and all coming from the waves. So we know that this technology works. We're ready to introduce it here. We also know that aquafarms can be producing kelp. Giant kelp grows as much as 2 feet a day. It's one of the most productive plants on Earth. And we know that you can extract food and fuel, pharmaceuticals, industrial colorants. By the way, you've seen recently the news about our health departments trying to ban chemical colorants from our food because it can be harmful to our health. All of that can come from seaweed, and particularly from kelp. So all of it can be sustainable and healthy. But just as we made a conscious decision to save that whale named JJ, we're making an equally profound and conscious choice of whether we want a full and normal life for ourselves and for our ocean, or whether the quality of life of our children will suffer because of our inaction today. Remember, the planet doesn't care if we're here. 99% of all plant and animal life ever to exist on Earth came and disappeared before the advent of industrial humans. The planet doesn't care if we're here. We're not trying to save the planet. We're trying to save the quality of our life on this planet. So I want to say thank you to everyone at the South Bay City's Council of Governments for bringing us here together today, because as I said, that's how we're going to solve these problems, and you're already in the mind frame of doing things together. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of mindfulness, but Shakespeare said, nature's bequest gives nothing, but doth lend. And so when nature calls thee to be gone, what acceptable legacy canst thou leave? The wonderful work you're doing together here as part of this COG and in your communities is a legacy that even William Shakespeare would be writing poems and plays about if he were alive today. Thank you so much for your attention. Come visit AltaSea.